just drop them underground. Kinda think the music kill the sound. You would turn it up and never down. Should just drop them underground.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Jordan Sather on July 26th here, and rather than being one of my normal videos where I take a bunch of different news stories and only talk for maybe a minute or two on each one, I'm going to take one news story that I saw floating around the internet today and really delve deep into it to give you guys a full consciousness download. And the health coaching side of Jordan is really going to be on show in this video because health is a passion of mine. Not only is it where I come from, is it what really galvanized my awakening process, is topics like GMOs and cancer cures and vaccines and things like that, but it's of my opinion that if we don't know how to truly take care of our own minds and bodies, our own individual selves, our planet is never going to heal and get better, right? If we are sick and dying, our planet is going to be sick and dying. As above, so below in action. So I'm going to share with you a bunch of different healthy living principles that I hope you will take and I hope you will put into action as well, because knowledge isn't power. It's only action that's power. Knowledge is just potential for you. So here's a bunch of potential, put it in action. And what we're going to discuss is how the sperm count of the Western male is dropping. And this topic I saw float around, like I said, a bunch of different news sites today, but I want to focus on what the Scientific American has to say about it, because there's one little sentence in here that's perfect as showing you why this is the case, right? So, Scientific American says, sperm count dropping in Western world. This trend has occurred over 40 years. And they go on to say, they begin this article by saying, sperm counts in men from America, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand have dropped by more than 50% in less than 40 years. So literally, in just a generation or two, we are using half the sack that we used to be. It's insane, right? And there's reasons for it, but I want to discuss with you this one little sentence that I saw in here. Now, the Scientific American, when creating this article, they found kind of a random researcher at a random university. It probably wasn't random, but I'm just generalizing, and I'm not saying names here because this isn't just what this guy is saying. This is a common shtick that all of mainstream science and medicine typically says. And this guy claims in this article, quote, given that we still do not know what lifestyle, dietary, or chemical exposures might have caused this decrease in sperm counts, research efforts to identify them need to be redoubled and to be non-presumptive as to the cause. So he claims that we still do not know what dietary, lifestyle, or chemical exposures caused this decrease. And again, that's a typical talking point of all of mainstream science and medicine. And that right there, folks, is complete bullshit. We know very well what dietary, lifestyle, and chemical exposures aren't just causing this, but pretty much all disease. Because remember, we're holistic beings. Everything in us is connected. So there are plenty of verifiable lifestyle, dietary, and chemical imbalances that we're doing to ourselves that are screwing everything up. But of course, people, when they're looking to the health authorities for them to tell them what to do, the authorities are going to say that they don't know what's causing it. So then the people go, oh, we don't know what's causing all this stuff. So then they have to keep going back to the pharmaceutical companies for the pills, and you get the picture from there. But we know very well what lifestyle, dietary, and chemical exposures are causing these diseases. I'm going to focus on the ones that are causing this issue today. So the problem is obviously hormone destruction due to modern living. Much like the lifestyle, dietary, and chemical exposures that we were discussing. We are just living so far out of balance than we naturally should be in all kinds of different realms, with our food, with the environments we subject ourselves to, with how we clean ourselves in our environment. We, with all of our unnatural stress and out of balance everything from sleep cycles to habits to all kinds of stuff. It's just completely non-natural. And the main reason that sperm counts are dropping, and not only men but women, just hormonal issues are so abound, is one, environmental toxins. Okay, so the first environmental toxin I want to discuss is endocrine disruptors. Endocrine means hormones. So there's a whole class of chemicals out there that are literally hormone disruptors. And the main class that really screws up a dude's testosterone, that leads to things like low sperm count, is what's called xenoestrogens. Okay? In Latin, this prefix means foreign. So this word literally means foreign estrogens, foreign estrogenic chemicals that are entering our bodies, that are attaching to different estrogen receptors. So these chemicals are basically increasing the level of estrogen in our bodies. And it's not a good estrogen. It's a very toxic estrogen. So these will bind estrogen receptors when they're not supposed to, when there's supposed to be nothing there. And then our body goes into that mode of thinking it has more estrogen than it really does. So that will then lower things like our testosterone count with doing so. And common xenoestrogens that are found in our environment, one is BPA. BPA is a chemical that's found in primarily plastics. So whenever we're storing things in plastics, drinking out of plastics, this stuff is slowly leaching into our bodies over the weeks and months and years. And it will all compound. Again, it's not really one chemical that's the issue, it's all of them. The EPA has over 70,000 registered chemicals, many of them screwing up our hormones, being xenoestrogens. So keep that in mind, okay? A lot of people say, oh, everything causes cancer these days. Not everything, but there's a lot of shit that does. So we have BPA, that's a xenoestrogen. Another one is parabens. This chemical is found in a lot of hygiene products. So for you dudes out there that still use Axe and Old Spice and shit like that, stop. Because literally it is decreasing your testosterone. And parabens are found like in those body washes I just mentioned, in sunscreens, in mainstream big box, sunscreen brands, Banana Boat or whatever, lotions. Lots of different things have chemicals like parabens in them. So when you buy hygiene products, buy natural. It's not hippy dippy, nonsense. It's critical thinking. It's making smart choices. You don't want that shit in your body. So BPA, parabens, pesticides. Pesticides are a big one that are endocrine disrupting xenoestrogens. A lot of pesticides spray onto our foods, they stick on our foods, and they really don't come off, even if you scrub them. It's very difficult. Not only are pesticides sprayed on our foods, but there's a lot of genetically engineered foods that have pesticides and herbicides essentially added to them. So, again, it's not hippy-dippy stuff to buy organic food. It's smart, so do that, especially if you want to avoid stuff like this right here. So, endocrine disruptors. Then we move on to cow milk. Milk naturally is made to take a 100-pound calf to a 1,000-pound cow within a span of 12 months. So there's a lot of naturally occurring growth hormones in there that you don't want in your body. Even if it's unpasteurized raw milk, it's going to have a lot of those naturally occurring hormones in there. So it's just stuff that it's better off to avoid. So avoid milk. Soy byproducts. So let me rephrase here, right? Soy itself, right? If you're eating actual soybeans, those are very good for you. In its whole food form, soy is great. But the problem is, much of the soy we eat these days that enters our bodies is not in its whole food form. It's soy byproducts. So things like soy oil, soy milk, soy protein, a lot of that stuff that's a byproduct of the soy plant is a xenoestrogen. You want to avoid that. And there's a lot of stuff these days that have soy byproducts in there. So when a lot of people are trying to avoid cow milk because of the issues and allergies and stuff like that associated with it, then they go to soy milk. It kills me. It really grinds my gears when I see people do that. They're trading one bad for another bad just because of ignorance. Well, here's information to help that ignorance. So avoid all soy byproducts, and then all of the vices that people love to addict themselves to these days: alcohol, tobacco. We'll talk about more down here under stress as to how coffee really influences your test production, but just avoid these things. It's screwing you up, okay? Next, we're going to go into nutritional deficiencies, right? So nutritional deficiencies. Our bodies, it's estimated, have about 80 to 90 different compounds, that is vitamins, minerals, enzymes, things like that we require on a daily basis for our body to function properly, right? You can pretty much guarantee yourself, even me, right? I mean, I try to eat as healthy as possible, but in this day and age, with as much chemtrails as there are and pesticides that are sprayed on our planet and all that jazz, it's very tough to get all of those 80 to 90 different minerals in our bodies without having to supplement or really take special care of what you're doing. So the ones that especially influence testosterone and sperm count is a mineral magnesium. Most studies show that 95% of people are deficient in magnesium, and our bodies need a lot of it. It's the mineral that we need pretty much the most of, so definitely get enough magnesium in your body. It'll help not just test production, but it'll help calm you, it'll help muscle spasms, it'll help your brain de-stress, a lot of things. Zinc is a big one, especially for guys in their test production. A lot of them are deficient in zinc, and then omega-3 fatty acids as well. Big one, we don't eat enough good fat these days. So things like hemp seeds, chia seeds, salmon. Make sure it's not farmed salmon, wild-caught salmon. All good sources of omega-3s that are going to help your body out. And then we're going to get into stress. This is a big one as to why dudes are low in testosterone these days, is because of stress. And I'm going to quickly try to discuss the balancing effect, the yin and yang effect of stress. So in our bodies, in our nervous systems, or I should say how our nervous systems deal with stress, is a balancing effect, right? The law of polarity right there. And we have our nervous system essentially divvies itself up into two branches to deal with stress. One of them deals with bad stress, one of them deals with good stress, right? A lot of people, they get this connotation that stress is bad, but there's good and bad stress. The sympathetic branch of our nervous system essentially deals with bad stress. I don't like to say good and bad because they're both necessary, so they're both good in regards, but the problem is our sympathetic nervous system is our fight and flight. So that's when our adrenal gland starts pumping out a bunch of cortisol and epinephrine, norepinephrine, and we get really stressed out, as they say. And then we have our parasympathetic nervous system. And this is the branch that's associated with your rest and digest response, or the calming effect, right? So it's when you're relaxed. It's when you're in your zen, essentially. So the parasympathetic hormones, remember, cortisol, norepinephrine, those are all sympathetic. The parasympathetic hormones is your testosterone, is your estrogen. It's all of the what are called anabolic. Anabolic. Do you like my chicken scratch there? Anabolic hormones are parasympathetic. Sympathetic is catabolic. Anabolic is the female energy that's associated with growth, with regeneration, with rebuilding, right? When you have more testosterone in your body, you're able to rebuild yourself. Your sympathetic hormones, like I said, cortisol and whatnot, those are all catabolic. This is the masculine energy, and this is the breakdown effect, right? Masculine energy breaks down, the feminine energy builds up. So we have the masculine, sympathetic, cortisol, stress, fight or flight side of the nervous system, and then we have the feminine, growth, anabolic, build up side of our nervous system. The problem is, in this day and age, we literally live sympathetically. We are always stressed out. We got bad relationships, a bad job we don't want to be in. We got, again, coffee, stimulants that overstimulate the sympathetic nervous system. When you drink coffee, your adrenal gland is doing work. So a lot of people are in adrenal fatigue and they're tired all the freaking time. They think they need more coffee, but really they need to lay off the coffee. So when they say, right, oh, coffee or I should say, when that old wives' tale, right? Coffee stunts your growth. Well, it's actually true. You can't grow, you can't be anabolic if you're always catabolic due to things like stimulants, right? So the main point I'm making with all of this stress ranting is that we need to bring ourselves back into the parasympathetic nervous system, or the regrowth side of things, the feminine nature. And isn't that kind of interesting in that cultural programming has kind of made it so our subconscious has this connotation where everything that's feminine or rebuilding to our bodies is like gay for dudes to do, right? Think of going to getting a massage. A massage is one of the best things you can do to relax yourself and start building up your testosterone levels with. But you tell 80% of guys out there to go get a massage and they're going to be like, oh no, that's gay, I don't want to do that, right? You tell them to just go relax or do meditation. A lot of guys out there get antsy when you talk about meditation, things like that, because they think it's gay. Well, I'll tell you what, those gay things you're doing is probably the healthiest thing and the manliest thing that you could do, right? Because a true man will honor that feminine side of him along with the masculine side of him. That is a grounded, balanced man, not an imbalanced, over-aggressive man-child, as I call them sometimes. But stress hormones kill T production. That's the whole point of that spiel right there. And then to fix all of these things, right? So there's a whole lot of information on toxins you should avoid, things, dietary things you should avoid as well. How nutritional deficiencies affect our bodies and what stress does to us. But how to fix this stuff. So I want to offer you guys just a few products. One is First Cleanse. First Cleanse is a cool little boxed cleanse. It's really easy to do. It's not uncomfortable at all. It only takes a week or two to do. But this will help get a lot of these poisons that are lodged into our bodies out of there. It's very tough for our liver and kidneys to detoxify our bodies themselves because of how toxic our environment is these days. So a little product like First Cleanse, you can go check it out at the links down below, is a great way to help detoxify your body. It's good to do like once or twice a year, depending on who you are. And it's just a couple pills in the morning you take, a couple pills at night that you take. Really easy. Drink a bunch of water. Don't be bad with your diet, and everything will be a-okay doing it. But literally after the cleanse, I mean, most people lose like 5 pounds of just gunk that's stuck in their digestive tract out. And they feel great. They feel lighter. They feel awesome. So do the cleanse. And then to handle the nutritional side of things right here, I'm going to offer you a product called Vitamineral Greens. This is essentially a whole food greens powder that's like a multivitamin and multimineral probiotic enzyme kind of all in one. I take a tablespoon and a half to even 2 tablespoons of this stuff every single morning. And it is literally one of the healthiest things you could put in yourself. It's full of detoxifying chlorophyll. It'll cleanse your blood. It'll cleanse every one of your organs, and it'll give you a bunch of those crucial 80 to 90 different minerals and enzymes and vitamins that our bodies need. So check that out. And then lastly, an herb to help you de-stress is, aside from marijuana, is Maca. So Maca is called an adaptogen herb. It's in the class of herbs called adaptogens because it helps your body adapt to stress. So when we're living too sympathetically, when we have a bunch of cortisol being pumped out by our adrenal gland in our bodies, Maca will help balance that. So it'll help decrease that level of cortisol being pumped out of all of the stress hormones going rampant in our blood, and help our bodies produce more of the parasympathetic hormones. So Maca is good at balancing your estrogen and testosterone levels while reducing your stress levels. So Maca is a great thing to take on a daily basis. I'm going to suggest to you a powder that I often use. Sometimes I even, if I do have a cup of coffee in the morning, I'll throw some Maca in there to help balance out the negative effects from it. It's kind of tasty. It has like a macadamia nutty flavor to it. It's not that bad. But I'll post a pill form of it down below as well that you can go check out, because sometimes people prefer that. So anyway, there's a whole host of health information that you can utilize to help balance your hormones if you're a dude, if you're a female as well. These are a lot of things that do affect the female body too. Endocrine disruptors, cow milk, soy especially, So it goes both ways. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed a lot of this information, and stay tuned as well, because very soon I'll be coming out with a bunch of video e-learning series to really put this education out there, because it's absolutely crucial in understanding who we really are. Done.